Hi everyone, it is Dylan with Nightmare Audio Reviews. I'm back. Today I wanted to talk for a little bit about the Meze 105 Silva. Yeah, I'm still never going to go figure out that reversal of the and mirroring of the image, but hey, whatever. Um, so this is the Meze 105 Silva. It released probably about a year ago or so. It sits in between the Meze 105 AER as well as the 109 Pro. So I kind of wanted to go and jump into this for today. Um, Let me click in here. So as I tend to do, this is the Meze Audio web page for the 105 Silva. Kind of goes through what is what. They are saying that essentially it's fun but also detailed, so it should sit between kind of the fun, kind of more consumer friendly sound signature of the 105 AER and the, I guess, more audiophile 109 Pro. This is just kind of a video embedded in the website that shows the design. So they say that the design of it comes from the mid-century modern movement, and I agree. It really has kind of this like retro futuristic look. It's really, honestly, I think it's one of the nicer looking Meze audio headphones, which is saying something. But it has a walnut wood, has a grill, has the same type of design where it has that self-adjusting comfort strap, 50 millimeter driver. They're going to go through the same thing that the Meze 105AR talked about: W-shaped dome, titanium coated torus. They tell you that they had engineered it at a certain angle to help with resonance control. They have some stabilization. Again, continuing to scroll. Ergonomic build, ear pads, which actually are very comfortable, and then accessories. It comes with 1.8 meter cable. It's Kevlar covered. They also include a 3.5 to USB-C adapter. Again, as I've kind of alluded to in my other videos, I really do appreciate the fact that everything in the Meze Audio lineup is user serviceable. So this is just kind of like a blown out breakdown view of the components of the headphone. For specifications: dynamic driver 50 millimeters, full frequency range 50 hertz to 30 kilohertz or 30,000 hertz. Impedance is 42 ohms, and it's quite sensitive, 112 decibels per milliwatt. Also very lightweight, 354 grams. And they tell you that Silva essentially is the Romanian word for forest, and that's kind of a lot of where the inspiration came from. Yeah, so that's it. This unit was purchased off of Audio 46 during, Meze had a really short sale for this one. Hasn't been as long lived as their the 105 AER, which is still, as of this video, 25% off. I think it was just like a few days where they had a 20% off sale. And Audio 46, again, New York audio store, basically just pulls from the Meze website and kind of confirms the tech specs. Alright, cool. That was me reviewing that overview in case someone didn't feel like going to the website themselves. So, as any other Meze audio headphone, it comes with a hard case. This one kind of has, instead of like the leatherette smooth finish, it has kind of like this hard textured case. If you open it up, kind of standard, it's just open. No real molding. Comes with a little pouch that has the actual Kevlar coated cable. You can see it's in there. I'll pull this out just because I'll show it to you. This is the 3.5 to USB-C adapter. It has a 1/4 inch adapter that is somewhere hiding in here, and then the cable itself. It's a good quality cable. Not really much else to say. So let me just zip this back up, and then I will plop this in here. All right, so let's start building comfort. So as you can see, this is what the headphone looks like. I do have a backlight on to try to capture some of the subtleties of it, but has this grill, which I am unsure if it's plastic versus metal. It kind of feels plasticky because it's not really cool to the touch, but it also can get cool at times. Spring steel headband that wraps around, has a leatherette comfort strap that self adjusts. You have this metal connector here, as well as on the other side, metal adapter here. Essentially allows more or less a full 360-degree adjustment. And then I'm using the premium copper cable that ends in a 4-pin XLR, just because I always use balanced for my setup in case that's never come up. Okay. In general, it really does kind of give you that handmade, but still really focus on detail vibe. Mine, I did notice when I opened it up. I will post the unboxing prior to uploading this video. There was a little bit of a rub on one parts of the wooden head cup here, and then there's like no, it's probably not gonna be captured on this video, but there is like a little bit of kind of like a defect in the wood. It's whatever. It's just aesthetics. The ear pads, you can see, are this like shiny, very, very comfortable velour. This actually feels, I don't know why, a little bit different than the material on the 109 Pro and the 105 AER. It just feels a little bit more like satiny and smooth, but very, very comfortable. No issues with comfort. They're very lightweight. As you can see, this is the driver back there. It's behind kind of a little cover, probably like a nylon or silk cover, and you can see it has kind of like this grid-like baffle, and then it has that star design, which it's not pentagram, but it's close. You know, you can only do so much. Yeah, so that's basically the build. And comfort in terms of kind of putting it on, auto adjusting, it's on. You can see it has like a decent ear cup size. It's not too big, really comfortable. I love the fact that you can just place it on, set it and forget it. The one issue with a lot of the Meze headphones is that the aftermarket cables, you're somewhat limited because of how narrow the connectors are. I love the quality of the Meze audio premium cables, so I've just basically kind of used them with everything as a default. But again, really comfortable on. You can wear this for hours. I don't get any hot spots whatsoever on my top of my head. Hair is thinning, so even less cushion than before, but it's adequate padding. It's really comfortable. A spring steel headband is doing justice. Clamping force is, I'd say, kind of just average. It's not very clampy, in contrast to some other headphone designs like Sennheiser, HT6 series. And it's not as it's not gonna you can headbang comfortably, and this will potentially maybe just slide ever so slightly, but it's gonna stay on your head quite nicely. So that is, again, kind of overview of the build comfort. For today, my goal is to not post a 20-minute long video that bores everyone to tears, but we'll see. I'm aiming for maybe 15 minutes max. Let me click back into kind of show you an overview. So this is just again, this is a frequency response that I'm pulling from SquigLink. I have it set up so that it shows you basically the competing range within the Meze audio lineup. As you can see, the SILVA is this kind of dark navy blue line, the AER is the green line, and the 109 Pro is the red line. So overview to my ears, which matches what the SquigLink, the frequency response, shows. Essentially, the SILVA is, I want to say, kind of, it truly does fit in between the lineup. The 105 AER is kind of more of that fun, consumer-friendly sound signature, elevated bass, forward mid-range, rolled off treble for the most part, safe treble, I'd say. 109 Pro is definitely offering much more bass, more thumpy, punchy, tactile bass, more sparkly highs. Again, still a relatively forward mid-range. The 105 SILVA kind of finds that balance. It has a little less of a bass response, but the bass is still present when needed. The mid-range is still quite forward. The treble, I'd still say, it's relatively detailed. It isn't bright. It isn't going to be as kind of sparkly. It's not sibilant or fatiguing. In contrast to the 109 Pro. My God, I'm like mixing up all the different names today. Even though I've had 2 coffees, so no excuse about not having enough caffeine. So it has kind of that in between. Um, let me go click back here. I'm gonna pull up my notes really quick. You can kind of see my thought. All right. So here's my thought about this. Let me click back. I'm going back and forth. So, why would someone potentially get this? What does it sound like? I have some thoughts. Broadly, I would say that this is a warm neutral headphone, which kind of seems to be like what Meze's been doing a lot. They definitely have the warm, kind of more fun sound character. For kind of where I think they were trying to go, it seems like it's trying to compete with the Sennheiser 6XX series, so mainly the Sennheiser HD600 and the Sennheiser HD650. I find this to be warm neutral. I find that the bass is nice and punchy. It's controlled. It's tight, tactile when needed. It's not going to be present unless the song calls for it. So it's not in that sense fun. It's generally more kind of neutral. It's only present when the song calls for it. If you are someone who wants bass to be present when it's intended and doesn't basically lead to any bloat, I'd say this is probably going to meet your needs. Mid-range wise, it's very forward. Vocals sound natural. Guitars, drums, they sound forward. Again, with my preference, I find that when it comes to listening to metal, the harsh vocals tend to sit just behind the guitars, so you can really focus on the melody and the guitar work, which is good. In terms of treble and detail, snares, high pitched keyboards, guitar, pinch harmonics, things like that, they will be present. Sometimes it can have, during the songs I was listening to, a little bit of like a glare, not really a brightness, but it just sounded like there was a little bit of like a treble focus that sometimes was a little bit distracting, but wasn't sibilant, wasn't causing any pain. When I was listening to this headphone for the past few weeks, I was honestly, it was on more of like a heavy metal kick. I've been listening to a lot of Dio. What else was I listening to? I was also on a random like power metal kick. I was listening to some Ed Guy. I was listening to a little bit of Heaven and Hell. That's going back to heavy metal and doom metal. But I was also still running through my normal roster of things. I'm on Amarth. I listened to Alcest. I listened to Amorphous, Insomnium. I was listening to Draconian because they just released one of their albums recently, which is fantastic. And what I found was, for the most part, it really was just like a warm neutral. It's fun in a sense if you when things kind of come out as the master artist intended, but it's not gonna be like fun. It's not gonna be as fun, I should say, as some other headphones I've been like reviewing recently and listening to recently. It's still a good headphone, and again, it's not fatiguing at all. So, to my ears, when I was listening to this headphone at Bloom Audio, I actually didn't like it, which was funny. It didn't really do anything for me, and I didn't know if it was just because I wasn't listening to a setup I was familiar with. Things were being streamed through one of their services. I was listening to the Luxon amp. Just wasn't. It didn't really kind of woo me or wow me. And it wasn't as fun as the 105A I was listening to that day, and it didn't have kind of like that bass and kind of, I guess, the wow factor of the 109 Pro. But admittedly, the 109 Pro, the treble, really does probably require some EQing down if you're not just someone who listens to things naturally. Again, I tend to just listen to the headphones the way they are. I haven't played around with EQ, even though I have Sound Source and I have the Oratory input add-on, I guess I should say. So I could potentially EQ this down if needed, but again, I tend to leave headphones the way they are and just try to review basses as how they have been released. But yeah, it just has kind of a neutral sound signature. Would I recommend this headphone for someone who is focusing on metal? I'd say yes. If you are someone who enjoys a more neutral sound signature and really just wants things to be presented as how they've been recorded, I think it does a good job. I was listening to some Ghost, listening to the newer album, and there were some songs where they had like a sub bass or like a pretty strong like bass drum impact, and it had like a nice physicality to it when it came out. But other than that, the bass wasn't really like punching or slamming unless the song actually called for it. So I'm gonna kind of go back to like the Final Audio DX3000CL. That headphone just had such like a meatiness, no matter what you're listening to. Even though that coloration potentially can be distracting if someone just wants things to be, again, how the artist had released it and that intention, but that fun factor, just this doesn't really have it. But it's a good headphone overall for metal. Bass when it does come out, again, very nice and punchy and tactile. It does extend down nicely into the sub bass. Mid range, forward, neutral. If you like the guitars being forward and in your face, if you like kind of hearing drums being forward, if they're forward in the mix, it does this justice. Same with the keyboards, they're nice and forward. Treble, again, it will be present for detail. It won't be sibilant, peaky, harsh, especially for people who have more sensitive hearing. Regarding like soundstage, again, I don't pay attention to that. Usually for the Meze lineup, especially the 105 and 109s, they tend to be pretty small. I'd say narrow. Again, most of the songs I listen to don't really give a sense of space, so I don't really pay attention to it. But I would say you're probably not going to be reaching for this if you're wanting something that's pretty like wide in terms of soundstage. And I think for detail, you really kind of get a good amount where you're getting what's presented to you. You're not getting any extra. It's not going to be bright, and it's not going to be something where you can't listen to it for hours. These I was able to listen to for hours without any issue. Again. So in summary, I do think that these are a really interesting take by Meze's part on competing with some of the more kind of well-regarded neutral headphones. Again, Sennheisers are really the ones that come to mind. But if you're someone who wants something very comfortable, well built, reliable, something that you can potentially replace at any point if any part fails, this is not a bad choice. Sennheiser also offers that too. I think these, in contrast to the Sennheisers, will have more tactile bass. They're probably going to be pretty equivalent with the mid-range, although Sennheisers have like very, very, very natural mid-range, so that might be your preference. These are more comfortable overall than Sennheisers out of the box too, if that's something that's interesting. And also, I mean, in general, in terms of kind of what you can run things off of, the Mezes, because of how sensitive they are, because of how low impedance they are, they're probably going to be easier for most people to drive than the Sennheiser series, which you would ideally have a dedicated headphone amplifier for. So that's kind of it. Let me know what thoughts you have about this headphone. Have people listen to it? What do they potentially, or what do you like in terms of the Meze 105 AR versus SILVA versus 109 Pros? Any other thoughts in terms of how it compares to some of the other headphones within this range? I'd definitely be interested to hear. And yeah, that's basically it. So I hope everyone has a good rest of their day, and thanks for tuning in. Take care.